It's March, one of my favorite times of the year. That's because I get to start planning our upcoming cruising season. And when I say planning the season, I mean I plan the entire season from start to finish. I'll show you how I do it in this video, 6 Steps How to Plan a Cruising Season, Part 1 on the Onboard Life. This video, How to Plan a Cruising Season, is the first of a series where I'll show you how I put together our cruising season, from start to finish. I can hear you now. Dude, that's not like very spontaneous, Skipper Darrell. Perhaps not, but we are able to do and see things that we might miss otherwise. And frankly, to me, doing all the planning and navigation through all the details is half the fun of this lifestyle. I'm an absolute sucker for it, and that's the way I roll, float. So here goes, 6 Steps, How to Plan a Cruising Season, Part 1. Step 1, have a mission. I like to have missions, cruise plans with objectives. That may be just as simple as getting from point A to point B on one day, but it can also be used to set an overall objective for a season or multiple seasons. And starting with the 2018 season, we're starting a whopper of a mission. We're going to explore the Great Lakes for 5 years. We call it the Why Not Great Lakes Grand Tour. More about that later. But for this season, our mission is to get Why Not from Jacksonville, Florida to Winter Harbor Marina on the Erie Canal, smack dab in the middle of New York State. They have a heated indoor shed where our boat will be stored during the winter. We use that as our jumping off point to eastern Lake Ontario in 2019. It's 1,600 miles between Jacksonville and Winter Harbor, give or take 100 miles. That includes going out into Long Island Sound and back. We also are taking advantage of the opportunity to do some serious sightseeing instead of blowing by all of it when we hustled up through the Northeast during our Great Loop adventure in 2012. There's a lot to see and do in that distance. That leads to Step 2. Prioritize where you want to visit. You can categorize them however you want, but things will get in the way, such as bad weather, and you may have to cancel spending time at a low priority location in favor of a higher priority location down the road. For us, our high priority destinations in 2018 include a few of our favorites, such as Jekyll Island, Bald Head Island, Myrtle Beach, and Annapolis, as well as some new destinations we're anxious to explore, particularly New York City and, as mentioned, destinations out in Long Island Sound. Step 3. Know your destinations, especially what boaty kind of services are available. Is there a pump out available? Are there grocery stores nearby? Is there a loaner car available? What is public transportation like, if any? Is there fuel available? How stiff are the currents and how much tide swing is there? That's where resources like Active Captain and the Waterway Guides are important if you've never visited an area before. And more, you can get current information from other boaters on Facebook and Twitter. And of course, you can always call ahead. If you have a boating need, especially pump out, you may need to favor one destination over another. One more point on this. A lot of marina dockmasters and employees suffer from a condition we call DDD, Dockmaster Distance Dementia. If you ask them, for instance, how far the nearest grocery store is, you'll likely get that it's just a tad down the street or a little less than a quarter mile from here. Don't believe them. Whatever they say, double it. They have no idea. They've never walked the distances themselves. Step 4. Know your vessel. The specs of your boat play a part in where you can and cannot go. If you have a sailboat with a deep keel, your choices where to go or to anchor or how to get someplace is different than a trawler with a 3.5-foot keel, like our trawler, Why Not? Your air draft is important too. Drawbridges will get out of the way for you, but fixed bridges are very unforgiving. For instance, there's a fixed bridge just before our final destination, Winter Harbor Marina, and the clearance is only 21 feet. Sailboaters on the Great Loop have to take their masts down. Power boats that are too tall have to bring down their radar arches or canvas frames. In either case, if you can't clear that bridge and others like it, your journey is over. Step 5. Understand the nature of the constraints of your cruising plans that are out of your control. Drawbridges that open only on the hour, locks that handle lots of commercial traffic, various hazards and obstructions that pop up in front of you, no wake zones, and manatee zones will slow you down. And of course, there's the weather. always allow for bad weather to put a crimp in your plans or even stop you. You have to take it in stride and go with the flow. Some years ago, some boating friends of ours gave us great advice. They said there are 3 rules in long-range boating. Rule number 1, wait. Rule number 2, wait. And rule number 3, you guessed it, wait. Sometimes it's all you can do. Step 6, have a pretty good idea what your vessel's speed is under different cruising models. Let me explain that. Many skippers express the speed of their boat under perfect conditions. No wind, no current, nothing to inhibit the boat's speed. For why not, at cruising RPM, that's a hair shy of 9 statute miles per hour. But those kind of pristine conditions hardly ever happen, and they aren't realistic. The reality is that a boat's speed depends on a myriad of factors: current, wind, traffic, no wake zones, or if there are any drawbridges or locks. This is where my persnickety planning and record keeping comes in handy. My log, as an Excel spreadsheet, is very detailed, and I can ascertain what our boat's speed is under different circumstances. I call them cruising models, and the log times include getting underway from one marina or anchorage to tying up at another, not just when underway at full throttle. The figures are in statute miles per hour, not nautical. They also include idle time. Cruising Model 1, the Gold Coast model. That's Miami up to Palm Beach, Florida. Lots and lots of drawbridges and traffic. 5.8 miles per hour. The lower your air draft, the better, but everyone has to wait for some. Sailboaters have it the worst. They have to wait for all of them. Why not has an 18.5-foot air draft, and we can sneak under a few, but we have to wait for most also. Cruising Model 2, the Locks model. This is a specialty model for waterways where there are a bunch of locks. This would include the Erie Canal, the Trent Severn Waterway in Ontario, and the Tombigbee Waterway. 6.9 miles per hour. Cruising Model 3, the typical East Coast model. Imagine you're on the magenta line of the Atlantic and Gulf ICW with all of the rivers, canals, bays, and inlets. Add Chesapeake Bay and throw it all together into one big statistical lump. That's the typical East Coast model. There are a few drawbridges, a few locks, and no wake zones as you pass residential properties and marinas. There's manatee zones and other areas of restricted navigation. You have to dodge fishermen and paddleboarders. There's moderate congestion, especially on the weekends. The routes wind around and you're changing speeds to meet the needs of the situation you're in. We do all that at 7.8 miles per hour. Then there's Cruising Model 4, the big one. Overall, all conditions, everything and everywhere included. 7.5 miles per hour, not 9. With all that data, I can make better than average estimates on how long a day's route will take, and that's very helpful knowing when we will arrive at a destination or being able to add to or subtract from routes more accurately. I am persnickety about planning, certainly more than most boaters. Can you tell? But I like to think that it has helped us to have a more fulfilling onboard life. We've experienced wonderful things and been to awesome places safely and efficiently. Well, that's it. 6 steps, how to plan a cruising season, part 1. There's more on this to come. What do you think? Are you persnickety like me, or are you more spontaneous? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ask questions and make comments, and share it with everyone you know. Also, connect with me on social media and click the little bell so that you can receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Thanks for watching. See you next time on The Onboard Life.